House number 6. In the fog-drenched coastal town of Glen Cove, Maine, there stood a house that no one wanted to talk about. Number 6 on Holloway Lane, a narrow, decaying two-story Victorian tucked behind gnarled trees and wild hedges that hadn't been trimmed in decades. For nearly 20 years, the house had been empty. Windows boarded, door chains shut. Locals called it cursed, haunted, evil. But in the spring of 2019, a family moved in. Melissa Harper, a single mother of 2, had driven across the country after a bitter divorce, looking for a new beginning. Her children, 11-year-old Alex and 8-year-old Lena, were quiet, observant kids. The kind who drew what they saw and whispered what they shouldn't have heard. Neighbors watched from behind their curtains as the family moved in. Melissa seemed friendly enough. She waved, smiled, but something was off. The kids never played outside. No one ever opened the windows, even on hot days. And every night, around 2 a.m., the lights flickered. Sometimes they'd see shadows move behind the curtains, shadows that didn't match any human shape. The disappearances began. It started with a mailman, Jerry Thompson, a veteran who had delivered mail in Glen Cove for over 30 years. He mentioned once that he felt watched when near house number 6. A week later, he vanished. His truck was found idling a block away. Mail scattered. No sign of Jerry. Then came Mrs. Langley, the sweet elderly woman who lived next door. She was last seen watering her roses, glancing nervously toward the Harper house. That night, she called her daughter, whispering about children in the walls and scratching in the floorboards. She never answered the phone again. When police arrived, her house was empty. The only thing they found was her wedding ring, placed neatly on the welcome mat of number 6. Still, the Harpers remained. Melissa stopped answering the door. The kids stopped going to school. And soon, the house seemed to change. Paint peeled faster. The lawn blackened. And strange symbols appeared on the front door, symbols that looked like they had been carved from the inside. The basement. Lena, the youngest, was the first to speak about the man. She told a classmate that a tall, faceless man lived in the basement and whispered stories to her at night. He told her he was hungry, that he needed more. Alex grew distant. He stopped speaking entirely and took to sketching, hundreds of drawings of the same image, a door with dozens of eyes surrounding it, and small hands trying to pry it open. Melissa, terrified, called a priest. But when he entered the home, he vomited almost instantly and left muttering in Latin. He never returned her calls. Desperate, Melissa decided to confront whatever was happening. One stormy night, she went down into the basement. The light bulb flickered, then died. She stepped into the darkness, flashlight trembling in her hand. The basement was freezing, colder than outside. On the walls were dozens, maybe hundreds, of tiny, bloody handprints. In the corner sat a crib, rotting, ancient. Inside it lay a doll, cracked and burned, with a stitched-up mouth and an upside-down cross scorched into its forehead. When Melissa picked it up, the basement door slammed shut behind her. She screamed, but no sound came, just silence. Then footsteps, tiny, quick, circling her. The next morning, the house was quiet. Too quiet. A neighbor called the police when no one answered for 2 days. Officers entered the home and found nothing. No furniture, no personal belongings, no Melissa, no children. Just one sentence scrawled across the wall in childish handwriting. He wanted a family. The basement was sealed. The city declared the house condemned. But every now and then, late at night, drivers passing by say they see a little girl in the upstairs window, holding a burnt doll, smiling. And no mailman in Glen Cove will go near house number 6 again. Window to the basement. 3 years had passed since house number 6 fell silent once more. The city boarded up the windows, nailed shut the doors, and even renamed the street to erase its memory. But the house still stood, rotting, darkening, breathing, waiting, a new witness. In 2022, a young man named Daniel Marlowe moved to Glen Cove. He was a photography student with a fascination for urban legends and abandoned places. When he heard the whispers about house number 6, he knew he had to document it for his final project. One foggy night, Daniel climbed over the rusted fence and started taking pictures of the house. The decaying structure, the creaking porch, the darkness. It was everything he hoped for. But then he took a photo of the basement window. The flash lit up something inside. A tall silhouette, faceless, with hands pressed against the glass from the inside. Daniel froze. There was no glass in that window. It had been boarded shut for years. The next day, he came back. He removed the boards and stepped inside. His camera recorded everything. The house groaned as he moved, as if exhaling. He descended into the basement. It was freezing, colder than outside. On the walls, hundreds of tiny, blood-stained handprints. In the corner, the same rotting crib. The same doll, charred and stitched, lying still. But something was new. A large circle had been drawn on the floor in black ash. Inside it, an old photo frame. Daniel picked it up and saw a yellowed photograph. A woman, a boy, and a girl. The Harper family. But the date at the bottom read, 1912. The camera and the whisper. As Daniel lifted the frame, a sharp crack echoed through the house, like a tree snapping in a storm. The lights went out. The flashlight flickered. His camera began to glitch. On the audio track later, a whisper can be heard. "You found us. Stay." He dropped the photo, bolted up the stairs, and fled the house. He never turned off the camera. Later, when the footage was reviewed, something disturbing appeared. After Daniel fled, the camera kept recording as if held by something invisible. It filmed the basement. Alex and Lena sat in the corner, their faces blurred and warped. They were humming softly. Behind them stood the faceless figure, gently rocking the crib. Slowly, he turned and stared directly into the lens, then into the viewer. The voice from the house. A week later, Daniel went missing. A friend tried calling him. Sometimes he picked up, but no one spoke. Just heavy breathing and faint children's laughter. In the last call, a whisper came through. He opened the basement. Now we're all inside. Police returned to the house. Again, nothing. No camera. No photo frame. No signs of life. Just one fresh handprint on the dusty wall, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. Since then, the house seems to breathe louder. Locals say it feels alive, that it watches. And the night Daniel disappeared, someone saw a small silhouette at the same basement window, holding a charred doll, smiling.